last but not least is Rob Milner. Hey, Rob, you want to unmute and say hi?
Hey guys, Rob Milner coming to you from my kitchen in Annapolis.
We go back to what, 2013 or 14? I should have looked that up, but I'm going from my memory.
I think 14, maybe
14.
Yeah.
I remember when we met, and again, I didn't pull up any notes. I'm going from our relationship. One of your objectives was to spend more time on your boat.
That's right.
When we first met. And then you attended a mastermind, I forgot which one, from your boat. And I was like, oh, it's not only to spend more time, actually now working on his boat.
That's right, came full circle.
So Rob came like earlier on in our development when I was the only coach, and then left for a little while, came back, kind of the way we're set up now. And I thought his opinion would be helpful because he's kind of gone full journey in your, you've told me the depth of your client relationships, the retainers, the levels you're working at. So if you could give, kind of the people here in the room some ideas on how they can do that too.
Well, let's back up just for a second, if I may, as far as like,
Sure.
why I joined in the very first place. When I've been recruiting myself for a number of years and had some good years and a lot of average years. And back then, I was having major inconsistencies really from month to month in my billings, and I didn't really enjoy the business that much. I was really just kind of in it for the money, but I was frustrated. And when I did a deal, the highs were really high and the lows were really low. And I think like a lot of people here, I invested in training every year. I always got a full return and then some. But then when we met at a seminar, I forget, it was much like this one. I think it was in New York. Your style was a little bit, I thought, a lot like mine, and I thought it was a very comprehensive approach. So I jumped in to the program in 14, and I met with Mark. I forget his name. He was in the program. That's right. And he told me, he said, well, like anything, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. He said, but definitely be ready to jump out of your comfort zone. And I felt like, well, it was scary, but I felt like with I have some lofty goals, and I thought that's what I really needed. So I did it. And, you and I did a bunch of one-on-one training, and then with of course the retreats that we did in Boston and Florida, I started getting retainers from companies I would have sworn they would never even consider a retainer. And I wasn't getting them because one, I wasn't asking, and two, I wasn't asking because I didn't really know how. But within a very short period of time, I went from 100% contingency to about 80% retained. The end of my first calendar year with you, which was my first fiscal year, after joining, my billings were up about 66% over prior year, and my second year was strong too. And what did I do? I decided to drop the program. I thought that I had mastered it, and man, was I dead wrong. So I remember I came crawling back to you within about 6 months because I slipped right back in my comfort zone. I lost my focus, and my billings had suffered, and here I am now after a number of years since then. So,
and what happened? But when you left, how did you drift? Because I'm not asking this question to position the program as much as kind of like, because I've been perpetually coached since 1994, and I've been with a couple of the same guys since 2012, 2013, for my own personal development. But what happened, maybe even thought process wise?
I think the main thing was, it was just over time, I lost focus. It was completely lack of focus. And then I realized that I was, starting to do the stuff that I used to do before I was in the program. And then it wasn't until I came back that I realized how much of it I had already forgotten, much less was I not using. I'd just forgotten it altogether. And I kind of had to learn it all over again. I think it's just human nature. If it's not reinforced, you're gonna forget it. And over time, that's exactly what happened to me.
Got it. And to give some people, because you went from all contingency to mostly retained, what are some steps you would tell people if they're going to get a retainer, the things they have to learn and master so that it positions them? Because I loved how you said, I remember you telling me that years ago, that, but it started off, well, geez, Mike, this company's never going to pay a retainer. And my response is not, they will, because I can't say any one company won't. But a lot of times, you never said this, I don't think, but some people say my niche won't pay a retainer, which is total BS. there's companies in the niche that won't pay retainers. But from a standpoint of how did you change your approach to make that possible?
Well, first thing, whenever someone asks what's your fee, never, ever, ever tell them on the front end, you're dead if the second that you do. Instead, I like to say something like, well, I'd love to tell you that, but I can't because this is not how we sell search. And just ask them to bear with me. If you let me understand what you're looking for. Let me help you understand our process, and then I'm happy to share a fee with you. And I've never had anybody get pissed about that, or really have a problem with it. I think once they hear it, they're like, wow, okay, let's do it. And if it doesn't, not everybody's going to say yes. You're not going to get them all. But the other thing that I did, I listened to one of the modules that you have on selling search and selling retainers. I'll probably listen to that 20 times, and just being able to roll into lay your process out, and they can tell, I think, right away that you're different from the process is different from the way a lot of other people do it. And I had a guy telling me the other day, a new prospect that I was dealing with. He said, "Oh, it sounds like." I said, "Does that process make sense to you?" He said, "Yeah, it sounds like how everybody does it, pretty much." And I said, "Excuse me, with all due respect, it's just not how everybody does it." I said, most firms stop after, 1, 2, or 3 attempts when they reach out to candidates. We're going 7 to 10, and we're getting through, as you just said a moment ago, we're getting through to a lot of people that these other firms aren't getting through to when they stop at two calls. And he apologized to me. He said, "You're right. It is different."
Nice, nice. I know you've worked with Kathleen. Because you've been working really tightly with Rob the last couple of years.
Yeah, Rob, thanks for sharing some of those successes. One of the things I've always been impressed by you is how your level of strategy for accounts has gotten more sophisticated over time. Talk about that for a minute and what the payoff is you've seen by looking at those accounts more holistically and more strategically in terms of developing more opportunity in them.
Yeah, well, I found that if I can get a foothold into one account and just do an incredible job for that one leader, I can usually parlay that into an opportunity in another part of the business. And a lot of it just goes straight to the, doing an effective job recruiting. If I can recruit and refer 3 to 5 star candidates that they can compare and contrast, and I tell them, which I learned from this program, that if I do it right, their toughest challenge should be, which one of these people do I hire? And if I can do that effectively, boy, that word spreads throughout the organization. I have a number of clients that are really big companies, and I just bounce around from unit leader to unit leader, and I'm able to get like an internal referral. What's stronger than that? And if I've got the proof from the deals that I've closed, I'm actually doing a lot less marketing now, which is a blessing for me because I don't love marketing, because I've got clients calling me, because of the successes that I've had in other parts of the business. Does that answer your question?
It does. Not crazy about the not marketing as much part, but as long as you're still marketing. But thanks for being honest. You're at a point now where you're about to add someone else to the team.
Yes.
Right. So talk about, for a long, long time, you were a dedicated, I don't want anybody, nothing. So share with us, what are the processes you now feel like you've got so systematized that you can pass them on and have someone else executing them?
Well, I've attended the training a couple of times on how to go about hiring people. And I think that gave me a little more confidence that maybe, now is the time. The other reason now is really kind of the time is that I've got more assignments that I can handle, honestly. And I'm kind of blessed. My daughter got into the business down in Florida, recruiting for the legal industry a couple of years ago. Then she moved back here to Maryland just recently to have her child. And she has an interest in, maybe taking over my business at one point. So I thought, wow, what's a better way to kind of cut my teeth and bring somebody on board than to bring her. So that's the plan, effective September.
Cool. Keep on doing the great work you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks for all of your support and guidance. It's been phenomenal.
Impressed by your execution skills.
Thank you.
And I just, like for everyone listening, because again, we go back to even what Francis was teaching on beliefs, right? Rob believed these clients, this would never switch to a retained model until he did. But at least, to your credit, Rob, to your credit is you said, okay, I'll make myself comfortable being uncomfortable. I'll start asking these questions. Worst case, you can fall back on contingency, but usually worst case, it'll be better contingency, more exclusivity, maybe a better fee. There's a whole bunch of other areas around that. Any areas, Rob, that you come up for you under like success tips you would give to the people here today that I may have not asked about that come up for you?
I don't think so. I think much of it's been covered. I mean, it's really investing in trading. I've done, as I said, I've done that every year, and everybody's doing that today. I think really, if you can get out of your comfort zone, that's the key to really advancing yourself personally, I think, and professionally. If you can find a coach, I happen to recommend Recruiter U, but I think any coach is better than not having one. And I know a lot of CEOs of big companies, a lot of them have career coaches. Don't work hard, work smart. And probably most importantly, we've all heard the phrase, what would Jesus do? If I get in a bind, I always ask myself, what would Mike do? Or what would Kathleen do? What would Francis do? And it's paid.
I'm honored, Rob.
It's true.
If it's me or Kathleen, which one's the annoying angel? Which one's the fun angel? Like,
He's a fun angel.
oh man, no freaking way! I call BS, and I call BS. All right, Rob. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate your insights. So, kind of quick takeaways for everybody is: one, get uncomfortable, especially if you want retained business. And then that also led to when he got in as a retainer, and then a little bit strategically develop those accounts into multiple hire accounts. Because it's kind of like one of the things I love to teach is once you can get in there, especially in the right relationship with money up front, is that company gets to know, like, and trust you. And you can I used to work with smaller companies. I could do the whole sales division. I could do the whole marketing division. All the way up to the executive levels. And Rob's done a bunch of executive level placements too. So, all right. Thank you to our panelists.